Hello, everyone, and welcome to another English with Joseph. Well, today we're going to be cooking, and we're cooking aubergines. These, yes, I have two here ready to cook, and we're going to add peanut butter and spices and a few other things. Okay, so this recipe will take probably around 10-15 minutes. It's not long and it's very, very easy. Let me begin by showing you the things that we're going to need to do this. Okay, so the first thing we're going to need is agave. Now, I don't have access to that. I'm in Britain. We don't do these tropical things. But what I'm going to use instead is just normal sugar. Okay, so agave, you might have it. I don't, unfortunately. Okay, so sugar is one of the first things. The next thing is Chinese 5-spice powder. Now, I don't know if you know what this is, but on my herb rack, I have something called Chinese 5-spice. Okay, so that is one of the next things that we're going to need. Next, the other thing that we're going to need is peanut butter. And I have crunchy peanut butter here, but if you have a favorite, you can choose whatever one you want. So peanut butter, mine is from M&S. If you watched my Facebook video yesterday, you would know that that's a kind of traditional shop here. Okay, so peanut butter. The next thing we're going to need is light soy sauce, and again, I have something here which is called reduced salt soy sauce. It doesn't have to be light, of course. It can be anything you want. And finally, we will need some ginger. Now, my recipe is asking for ground ginger, a chunk of ginger, and then to grate it down, but I'm going to use ground ginger. Okay. Garlic, peeled and grated, and of course the aubergines. Now, I'm actually going to use some garlic that I have here. It's not peeled and grated yet, but it will be soon. There's also another kind of garlic that you could use, which is this one. I'm not sure if you can see that, easy garlic, but I'll be quite honest, I've been cooking with easy garlic the last little while, and I'm finding that the food is very acidic because that garlic seems to be preserved in something. So I wouldn't use it. I would use fresh garlic if I were you. Okay, so these are our ingredients. And let me just talk you through what we are going to do. Okay, so the first thing that we need to do, of course, is to give you an outline of how this is going to be served. So these aubergines, when they're ready, are going to be on a bed of rice, which you can prepare separately, all right? So a little onion chopped up, or spring onions, and also some mint on the top. Okay, some mint. In case you don't know what that is, let me just show you. Here we have it. This is mint. Okay, some leaves. I'm sure you know what this is, the stuff that we put in tea to keep us awake sometimes, especially if you're in the Arab world. Right, those are the ingredients, and I've told you how it's going to be served, and we'll come back. So let's start. So we want to put all the ingredients except the rice together, okay, to mix them up to make a sauce. And then simply that sauce is going to be on top of the aubergines, okay? So let's do that first before we do anything else, okay? Let's put all the ingredients in a small bowl and combine them. So I'll just move these out the way. I'll get a small bowl. Well, this is kind of a large bowl, but it doesn't matter. There we are. So the first thing then is we want to add 2 teaspoons, and the recipe says 2 teaspoons of agave. I don't have that, so as you know, I'm just going to use sugar, okay, just to sweeten it. I did actually look to see what the alternatives are for agave, but sugar was the best thing. So we want 2 teaspoons of this, and this recipe, by the way, is for 2 aubergines, okay? They're big, so they would easily serve 4 people. Okay, so 1, 2, okay, that's the sugar. 1 teaspoon of the Chinese 5-spice herb mixture. Now, I'm not quite sure what's in this, but it's very famous, so I'm sure you can find something similar, or maybe you can ask in the Chinese supermarket what that is. So we want 1 teaspoon of this. There we are. And we want 2 tablespoons of peanuts. Now, this is a bit confusing, okay? Let me just explain this about these spoons. So the spoon I'm using at the minute, okay, is this one, which is a small teaspoon. Yeah. Okay, right there. And then a tablespoon would be the one that's just a little bit bigger, like that. Yeah. And then the biggest one is the dessert spoon, which is like this. Okay, so those are the measurements there, in case you're wondering. Okay. Right, so teaspoon, tablespoon, dessert spoon, right? So we need the tablespoon for the peanut butter, and we want to add 2 tablespoons to this thing, okay? So I'm just going to open this. I love peanut butter. Very popular in America. Not so much here, but here we are. So I'll just put that in. There we are. Now I'm being very generous with the helpings here because I like peanut butter. So much that I've just put it in my mouth and now I can't speak. So one moment. Delicious, right? So next is 1 tablespoon of soy sauce. Now you'll have to be careful with this because soy sauce, as you know, can be very strong. So you need to be very careful what you're doing with it. You don't want it to overtake your recipe. And it's asking for a tablespoon. So immediately I'm a little bit wary of that, but I needed to mix up this peanut butter, okay? So there we are. It's a tablespoon of the soy sauce. Now let's see what else we have that we need to put in this. Yeah, it's asking here for a really small cutting of ginger. So what I'm going to do is add maybe half a teaspoon because I think that it doesn't need too much, you know. So I'll just put a little bit in. It's probably too much, but never mind. And now it's asking for the garlic cloves peeled and grated, and then finally we'll get to the aubergine. So let me just do the garlic cloves. I don't know if you like garlic. I'm okay with it, but I wouldn't say it's my favorite or anything like that. I much prefer using garlic powder when I'm cooking, you know. I have that too, but okay, 2 garlic cloves peeled and grated. It doesn't say that these garlic cloves should be crushed. It just says that they should be peeled and grated. So we'll do what we can. So I find that when you cut garlic, it's much easier to just take it off the peelings once it's cut, rather than worry about it being peeled before you cut it. Because if you do it this way, you can just lift it out, you know. It just seems to fall apart. There we are. Okay, there we are. There's more garlic. Right, so those are 2 garlic cloves. Now I have to say that as for the grating of the thing, I don't think I'll be doing that, but what I am going to do is I'm going to get my mortar in, I think this is called pestle. And I'm going to put the garlic in here. There we are. Okay, so just mash this down a bit so that it'll be quite tasty when it goes into the sauce, you know. I would much rather use that bottled garlic, but it's too acidic. You know, I made a soup last week with that, and it really just didn't go very well because the soup turned out to be really vinegary, you know, like vinegar. You know, we add the Y at the end of words when we're using them as adjectives, like vinegary, floury, yeah. So it didn't turn out well. So that's why I'm forcing myself to use this garlic. Anyway, this garlic's been sitting there for a while, so it needs to be used before Christmas, because it's not new. So there we are. That's looking okay, I think. Right. So this is a minced, or they want it grated, but it's I don't think these garlic cloves are really big enough for that. So we'll add these in to our mixture. Okay, right, so let's see what we've got here. Right, so we've added the sugar, it asks for the agave, the 5-spice powder, the herb, the peanut butter, the soy sauce, the ginger and the garlic, and of course now we have the aubergines. That's basically it, okay? Let me just show you what it looks like at the moment. Yeah, so that's everything that's in there. I need to mix all of that up, okay? Until they're completely combined. Now they're quite thick there, so I think it's because I didn't use the agave. So I'm going to maybe add just a little bit of water to this. I'll see what it looks like when I start to mix it. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty thick there. Okay, so it doesn't really resemble much of a sauce exactly, but it is a good texture though. So it might need a little bit of liquid there. I'll just mix this up and show you. Now, one problem I can see pretty much immediately is that I don't have enough here for 2 aubergines. So I'm going to have to do this again in a minute anyway. But it's looking good. I'll add a little bit of water just to see if I can make it a little bit easier. So let me see. Right, we're keeping the mint for serving, so we're not going to add that. Okay, we just need to prepare the aubergines. So I think this is probably enough for 1 aubergine, I think. Let's get to the aubergines now. This is what this looks like, in case you're wondering. It's kind of, let me see how to show you this, yeah. So there's not really a lot of it, that's the problem I have, but I'll see. I'll decide in a minute what to do with that. So we're getting to the aubergines now. So I'm just going to clean these a little bit, take the top off. There we are. And of course I need to wash them as well. Right, so let's see. Right, okay, so let me just wash these aubergines fast. You know, I was talking to Jose from Brazil. He's probably watching this, and he was telling me about the importance of washing vegetables and meat because he's one of these professional people that loves cooking. So I'm just going to wash these a second time. Yeah, he was talking about how it makes such a difference to the taste. I mean, I really don't know. I'm not a kind of professional with this, but it's very interesting what he was saying. Right, so notice how I'm going to cut this, okay? So I'll just move this forward a little bit so you can see. I'm going to cut this long ways, first of all, like this. Yeah. Same with this one. There we are. And then the next thing I have to do is I need to scar them. Okay. And I'll show you what that looks like. Basically, the verb we use with this is to score them. Scoring means to take a knife and kind of just mark them, but not so that they're cut. Okay. Let's see. So let me just show you what I'm going to do with this. All right. So you can see the aubergine there. I'm just in this way. I'm just going to score it like this. Okay, but not too much. Not so deep either. Okay. So I just need to. By the way, this recipe is completely vegan. Okay. So if you're into being vegetarian or vegan, it's a lovely thing. And of course, you can add whatever else you want. Let's see. There. So I've kind of scored these, as you can see. Yeah, just do a bit more on that one. Yeah, so nothing so deep. So that's basically them scored. And that's more or less it. I mean, it's now kind of ready to be cooked. Okay, so all we need to do is just to put them on the baking tray, which we're going to do. Okay, so we're going to put the aubergines in a roasting tray so that they're quite snug. That just means sitting together. And we're going to spoon over the peanut sauce. And then we're going to leave it for half an hour or in the fridge so that it absorbs the flavor. You don't have to do that, by the way. And then all that happens after that is they get cooked. And we'll talk about that in a second. Okay, so let me first of all just show you what this is going to look like. Okay, so let me just get my tin foil. There we are. And my baking tray, which should be, I think, in the oven here somewhere. Yeah, here we are. Right. Just give that a rinse. I'm just going to move these aubergines back a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so this is my baking tray. There we are. Now we spoke about sitting these snugly in the tray. Snugly just means together. You know, like if two people are in a bed together, they're kind of snug, you know, because they're close together. So it's kind of a snug placing. So I'm going to sit these snugly together. Okay, like this. There we are. Yeah, the baking tray is just the right size for them to be snug anyway. What I have to do then is I have to spoon over about half of the sauce, and then I'll leave them for a little while. Then they'll get cooked, and the cooking will be, if you're using gas, 220 degrees. That's gas mark 7, if that means anything to you. It'll go in the middle shelf of the oven. The baking tray will be placed in the middle shelf of the oven and baked for around 15 minutes. Yeah, and before removing and spooning over the remaining sauce, let me just go over that again. I'm just reading this, okay? So this is kind of new for me. Let me just go over that again. So the oven is preheated to 220 degrees, or gas mark 7. Okay, this is put in the oven for 15 minutes. Remember, it's got half the sauce on, and then the rest of the sauce gets added after it's been cooked for 15 minutes. Okay, so 15 minutes with half the sauce, add the rest of the sauce, and then that gets cooked for another 15 minutes. And in the second cooking of 15 minutes, it's covered with foil. Okay, so just one more time. The oven's preheated to 220 degrees gas. These aubergines are baked with half of my sauce, okay, for 15 minutes. The rest of the sauce is added, and then they're cooked, sorry, for another 15 minutes covered. All right. And when it's doing its second bit of cooking, you can prepare the rice. Basmati rice is the recommended rice for this dish. And don't forget to put the mint and the spring onion on top of the rice when you add the aubergine to it. All right, and that's it. Now, the one thing I need to do is to add something to this sauce, because at the moment it's not a sauce, it's just something kind of chunky. So I'm just going to add a little bit of water there and try mixing this again to see if I can soften it a little bit. Yeah, becoming a little bit softer there. So yeah, it's becoming much better, much easier to work with. So I could just add a tiny little bit more. Yeah, this is because, as you know, the recipe asked for some teaspoons of agave, which I didn't put in. Okay, there we are. So I'm just mixing this up into a kind of paste. It tastes delicious, really delicious. It's maybe a little bit strong with the soy sauce, okay? So be very careful with that soy sauce. And in fact, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to add just a tiny bit more sugar to try to take away that soy sauce taste. So put that in, make it a bit sweeter. Yeah. Okay, so it's definitely getting there. Another tiny bit of water just to bring it to a nice consistency. Geez, that really is delicious. I really wasn't expecting that. Right, so this is it. Let me just see if I can show you. Now you can see it's much more kind of like saucy like now. So I'm going to use this fork and just put these. There. Right, there we are. So I've more or less coated all of these with our sauce. Maybe a little bit more on this one. Right, there we are. Still kind of thick looking, this sauce, but it's okay. And that'll go into the scores, into the sears that we made for the thing. Okay. Now, let me just explain one more time. These are ready to go in the oven. But what I'm going to do, as the recipe tells me, is I'm going to leave them for a while. I won't be cooking them till tonight anyway. So I'm just going to cover them. Get my cling film this time. I'm running out of tin foil. Geez, I can't believe how delicious these are, really. By the way, in case you're wondering where I got the recipe from, I got it from a magazine which is called... Is it Vegan Good Cooking? I'll tell you in a minute where I got the recipe from. Right, here we are. So let me just cover this. Right, so move them out the way. Oops, sorry, I moved over there a little bit. Right, so this is the kind of oh, where's my words today? This is the the final moment. All right, so let's just talk through again what happens next. Okay, so I'll just lift you up there. You can see, here they are. Okay, this is what they look like. They're going to be left here now until I cook them tonight. Maybe I should have covered them with tin foil. Maybe I still will. I don't know. But basically, the way it works is these will go in the oven, 200 degrees, gas mark 7, if that's your preferred way of knowing the temperatures. After 15 minutes, they will be taken out of the oven. They're not covered at this point, and more sauce will be added. There it is there. Okay, and when the sauce is added, what happens is that they get covered, the whole thing gets covered again, back in the oven for another 15 minutes. All right, and then you serve it on a bed of rice with mint. All right, so I hope you enjoy that. It took us a bit longer than 10 minutes, but that sauce really is delicious. Be very careful though with the soy sauce. Soy sauce makes it a bit more spicy. So enjoy and have a wonderful, wonderful, happy day. See you. Bye.